Welcome.
Muted. Unmuted. I always do that. I always hit the wrong screen. What's up, everyone? I need to label these better. Hello. Welcome to the reading of the Pelennor Fields. I'm pretty pumped for this reading. I've been waiting for this reading for a long time. I think one of the earliest chapters that when I started doing just videos, not even like live reads, I think one of the first chapters that I remember someone really anticipating was this chapter. A lot of people were talking about how this is like, maybe not a lot, maybe just one person was talking about how this is one of their favorites. So I'm pretty pumped. Revenant, thank you for the gifted. Bergomi, congrats on the gifted membership. Also, welcome Akinakis to the Hot Tamales. Ludwig, welcome to the Hot Tamales. And Alte, man, we got some Hot Tamales just poking in here. I love that. And I love that no one really knows what a hot tamale is unless you actually watch the podcast. That's where the origin story is from. Oh, nice. Caught off the previous live streams. I love that. That's awesome. So a hot tamale comes from when we were doing the podcast on Harry Potter. Jen, who is in the Harry Potter podcast, who does Fellowship of the Readers with us, but kind of is like pregnant and isn't like fully up to date with Lord of the Rings. She was talking about a character. I think it was Ginny, and she's like, "Oh man, Ginny's like a really cool character in this." Because we at the end of each podcast we would give our favorite character, and she was like, "Oh, she's not my favorite, but she's like a hot tamale." And we're like, "Oh, we'll give a hot tamale award." So that's what we did. Hiking Harry. Can I describe my channel with one short sentence? I like Lord of the Rings. I've never read it before on multiple sentences. Can I ever describe something in one sentence? No. I am reading Lord of the Rings for the first time. And loving it. Ooh, major change in regarding the dead of Dunharrow in this chapter? Ooh, I'm pumped. Let's go. Boguslawa. Drop the old English vid of this in creative. The old English vid. Oh, ye old English. That's kind of cool. Wait, what about McDonald's? What did I say that I was like McDonald's? Ooh, okay. Here's a question. What? Oh, I'm loving it. Yeah. What is, in your guys' opinion, the most emotional moment in the book? Have I reached it yet? I would say there's 3 really good ones for me. Oh, Bad Glory, welcome to the Hot Tamales. Man. Okay, so far there's 3 really emotional moments that I've hit. Wow, I haven't hit the good emotional moments. Shoot. Dang it, guys. Oh, gosh. Man, everyone's almost in unanimous opinion that I have not reached it yet. That's actually kind of crazy. So the 3 that I think are the most brutal moments or the most emotional moments for me, I still think the Bill the Pony and Sam saying goodbye to Bill the Pony is legitimately one of the saddest, not necessarily saddest, but like, yeah, it was really sad. That section made me cry a little bit. And then the other favorite that I had was Gimli and Galadriel in their first meeting. I still think about how beautifully written that was, and it moves me to tears. Oh, it was so good. And then the end of the last chapter with the Ride of the Rohirrim and the descriptions of Theoden are just, my goodness, they were so moving. Oh, so I'm pumped that I haven't read or I haven't gotten to some of the really emotional moments. The last sentence of the Lord of the Rings is wow. That's actually kind of crazy. If Sam was French, she would have eaten Bill. What? That's sad. Amber's blank in this chapter? What does that mean? Ooh, Smeagol's almost redemption was so moving too. That was really, really good. I totally actually kind of forgot about that. Attila, thank you, dude. I appreciate that so much. You enjoy the channel. First membership of any YouTube channel ever. Man, that's so cool. Honestly, someone else said that too, that theirs is their first membership, and that means so much to me. That's actually so cool. That's like peak existence right now that I'm living. If you aren't a member of any other channel but this one, that's just so cool. I just think that's crazy. So thank you. We have another. I'm gonna do a members live read, or not members live read, members live stream discussion. I actually skipped the passing of the Great Company, so I'm gonna go back all the way to the second chapter of this book. Because what is this one gonna be? A sixth? Yeah, we're on chapter 6. So I still have 3. I have to do passing of the Great Company. I have to do the Siege of Gondor, and then I have to do the Ride of the Rohirrim. All we call them marginalias. They're member discussions. Or I just live stream a member discussion. So one of those is going to come this week, and the next one potentially depends on when I can do the essays. And this week was just hectic. This week was all over the place, so I wasn't able to do one. Dude, the Witch King riding through the gate was one of the craziest changes in the book. That was actually wild. That's another question. Here's another interesting one. What would you guys say is not necessarily the biggest change book to movie? Because that's like, maybe everyone has like a slightly different opinion. But would you say the Witch King is one of the biggest changes from book to movie? That he actually rides in? I think that one and Sam wearing the ring are 2 of the biggest for me. I know a lot of people think Denethor's character is significantly changed. I don't want to get into that much because I don't know. I think he's more interesting in the book. Not as mad from the start. I still think he's kind of mad. The Witch King's intro is just so cool. And so the dead men of Dunharrow in this chapter. Interesting. Michael, again, I never know if you're being serious or not and just trying to lead me down rabbit trails. Your comment, I think you made the comment on the video that's going to come out tomorrow about my reading, and I said Durnhelm rather than Eowyn. And your comment made me cackle. But I don't know if that was real or not. I don't know. How dare I conflate Durnhelm with Eowyn? Yeah, honestly. And it's interesting too. Like, I mean, a lot of people on YouTube have talked about this, how Lord of the Rings was like written at the perfect time, like in the mix of like bad CGI, which some like movies, like the Marvel movies to me are like over CGI'd. And between like you're actually getting good CGI, but like practical effects. Lord of the Rings was in like the perfect storm for that. Because I think like a crown of flame on a headless body would look cheesy CGI. Like, I don't think it would look great CGI. But they should have done that because I think Weta would have crushed it. Like, Weta could have made that look so good. That would have been like a real effect. I think it would have been incredible. So, I don't know. They left your favorite part out of the movies? Bummer. Anybody have a... This is maybe an impossible question because everyone is a Tolkien fan here. Does anybody have a chapter that they skip whenever they read Lord of the Rings? Also, we're going to start the live read. We'll start in like 20 minutes. We always just kind of chill for the beginning. And then we'll start it up soon. Treebeard chapters. I think I've asked this before. I think some people said they skipped certain chapters. The Old Forest chapter can be a little tough. Yeah, honestly, they made the Balrog look so good. Never skip chapters. I love you guys. That's great. Um, the Two Towers movie only included 12 out of the 21 chapters. That's actually kind of crazy. Skipping over some poems and songs. Wow. That's a hot take. Honestly, one thing that I'm actually really excited to do is go back and read the prologue. I feel like it'll make a little bit more sense now. I know some of you actually follow this girl on YouTube. Why was I blanking on the word YouTube there? But she is reading it for the first time. What's her YouTube name? Lonely Reader. She's reading Lord of the Rings for the first time, but she read the Silmarillion first and now is going to Lord of the Rings, which is so cool. That's crazy to me. But I just watched one of her videos today where she just unboxed a few books. And they were good looking books. But at the same point, so one thing that I think, I like trashy videos, or not trashy videos, I like trashy books, because that means I can write in them as much as I want. She has all these incredibly nice books, and I would love that, but that would make me feel I could never write in those books. Never. And I like this because I can trash this book because it was literally like $4 and I'm set. I'm all set. I've read 7 to 8 of the Histories of Middle Earth book. That's crazy. Huh. Should I reread Bilbo's song in Rivendell right now before we actually do the live read? I know. I actually have the nice copies of Lord of the Rings. I have them up there. I have the green, blue, and purple one. And they're beautiful. They're stunning. Hey, Craig. What's up? I can't wait to... yeah, I'm pumped for this. Nemo, you're like an OG on this. Tolkien rants? No. Also, everyone, I like shouting out channels because there's a lot of people who are subscribed. Why can't I think of words today? My dog is scratching under the bed, the little carpet. I wish I could show you a picture of his little head right now poking out from underneath the bed. He's cute. What was I trying to say? Oh, shouting out YouTube channels. Everyone go check out Nemo's channel, Myth Mavens, because he's doing Brandon Sanderson content. And it's almost like the exact same way that, well, not the exact. I think they're like better, like lore experts than I am. But they're breaking down some Mistborn. And they're doing it through like a really good literary perspective in a literary way. Excellent work. And then everyone go subscribe to Tolkien Rants, who is in the chat right now, because she makes unbelievable content. And they're such good videos. My dog is just going crazy over there right now. Just made what was that? Like a 28-minute long video about Denethor and like dispelling all the preconceived notions that people have of Denethor. Or like, oh, that was just such a good video. Wait, what am I doing with the banners? Why am I unfurling banners? Oh, yeah, hold on. Do we unfurl Rohan's or Gondor's? Yeah, Girl Next Gondor, but Girl Next Gondor has a ton of subscribers already. She has more than me. Both done. The White Tree, done and done. Goes like that. I need something to stick that up. I can't stick that up. Hold on. How am I gonna do this? I'm just gonna see if I can shimmy it under this picture real quick. That's not working. Oh, let's just do this. doesn't look great, but that's what I got for that. And then Rohan, I'll try to. The Rohan one is huge. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to my old downstairs neighbor. She just moved out, and she had a flagpole out front. I want to put the flag of Rohan on my flagpole outside, because how cool would that be? It would let everyone know. Look how big this is. This is the size of a human. No. Oh, you can't even see that. That doesn't even look good. I'm gonna just be over it the whole time. But that kind of works. Works okay. I kind of should wear it as a cape. I would kind of be down to wear that as a cape. How cool would that be if I wave that outside my front door and let everyone driving past know that this is the kingdom of Rohan. Yeah, I'll get deported for Rohan, or to Rohan for that one. They probably would think I'm running some English pub, but that is such a great flag. Both of these flags are great. I don't know which one I like better. I would say actually Rohan's. I like the color of Rohan's. That's more classic. That's more fun. I would like that. And I realized, so I wrote an essay today, or no, I published an essay today on YouTube. Probably okay, so this is another question that I have for you guys. And I was thinking about this today. Because I published one, I accidentally published it yesterday, and then I took it down, and then I published it this morning. It's my least favorite essay that I've ever made, because it's about the colors of Tolkien, because I feel like there was something there that I couldn't figure out. And I just published it because I was like, I need to just like verbally process this. And I still couldn't figure it out. And I was like, this essay doesn't feel complete. It's just like the colors of Tolkien are cool. That's it. And I realized through, I think Michael's comment, Michael made a comment about how the flag, there's one section that I misread because I was like, oh, Tolkien is writing on the green grass, but it was really describing the flag bearer behind him. And then I realized he's still writing on green grass because it says like the grass was flamed before him in green or something. And I'm like, this is the image of Snowmane and Théoden right now. Like, that is them riding to battle. I mean, Théoden's not on the horse. But for all I know, that chapter, the end of that chapter is the moment that Théoden becomes the emblem of Rohan. Both literally and metaphorically. And it just makes me like, it made me think about, Dol Amroth's flag is the best? Interesting. I want to see that. It just made me think how, like, what the cultural touchstones of Rohan are. And like how you can tell that in like a flag. I just kind of love that. So I might do like a quick essay on that, like on Monday or something like that, and just talk about how maybe this was the moment that Théoden becomes the flag of Rohan. But I don't know, just from looking at a flag, like I know about the culture of Rohan by just the flag of Rohan. Just like you know the culture of like the US of A by looking at our loud flag. Now I want to look up Dol Amroth flag. It better be a cool swan, or I'm riding. Dol Amroth, like all caps is on. Google is gonna sound like or feel like I'm yelling at it. Ooh, a swan boat. That's kind of cool. Wait, which one is the actual flag? Oh, that's cool. They actually have Dol Amroth's flag in the movie. Look at it, you can barely see it, but it's in the movie. It's just like a swan. That's kind of sick. Is this Silmarillion reference? Elwing was a swan. I don't know what you guys. I don't know these words. Man, there's too much going on in this flag. Get rid of the ship in the background and just give me the swan, and that looks cool. That's kind of cool, whatever that is. I don't know what that is, but it's kind of cool. Hunt Clan, you didn't miss anything yet, because I'm still just yapping. One question I wanted to ask you guys: what has been your favorite video on the channel, or maybe the one that like pulled you in the most? And what is your least favorite? Maybe least favorite might be like harder to answer, but maybe I published something that you're like, that was terrible. Never talk about that again. I think, I don't know, maybe you probably don't have like a least favorite. Maybe it's just like less memorable or least memorable or whatever it is. But I'm actually curious because I'm curious what pulled you guys in and like what kind of stuff you want. What content you want. My Denethor videos. That probably made you feel so justified. Let's not get into Denethor. Let's not get into Denethor. Let's not spoil the beautiful day. It is actually so nice out too. Yeah, the character analysis ones are really fun to do. Like two of my favorite ones for the character analysis were the Faramir one that I did. I think that was like a 40-minute essay because I just wanted to talk about him. And then even the one that I published, I think yesterday on Gone Bury Gone. Those are just fun because they're just like they're just like, I just want to talk about this character for a bit and just how interesting he is and how Tolkien writes such good characters. The erect video. That was the video that won you. That is so funny. That's great. Least memorable. I don't remember. Gollum almost repenting. That was a really good one. Ooh, I did an essay on the death of Boromir. Interesting. Wait. Hold on. My less structured essays where I haven't written it out ahead of time, or my other ones that I typically turn off. What do you mean? That you like those or you don't like those? Yeah, the Council of Elrond videos was when the channel actually started doing well. I think the first video that I remember doing really well, and I was like, oh, wow. Like, this could actually be a series. Because when I was initially doing this, it wasn't like, pulling in crazy numbers. I think the first like 6 chapters I was doing, and I was like, oh, nothing's really hitting, but this is really fun to do. So I'm just going to keep doing this for myself. And then I think the Council of Elrond was when it really started to like catch a little bit. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Snow warning. I think one of the things that I like about this too is like I know that I'm wrong about certain characters because I don't have the full context to them. But it is really fun to get it from my perspective as like a first time reader, because I feel like I'm almost falling into some of the traps of Tolkien. Like I think that he's setting up these characters per chapter like this, so that maybe you go harder on them and you're like, oh, this character is this or whatever it is. Like you like this character, you don't like this character, and all of a sudden something gets revealed later that you're like, oh, wow, I actually kind of really love this. My rabbit stew skit I'm still a little salty that is like one of my least viewed Lord of the Rings videos. I poured my heart and soul into that. That was one of my favorite things I've done. That was kind of hilarious. Siege of Gondor. That last chapter was just so good. Least favorite ones is the joke ones. Yeah, I like doing a little bit of both. I like mixing it up. Nice. The video I was talking about the ending of a prior relationship. Yeah. That was like 2 months ago. It was a tough one. What's up, Drea? All right, we're going to start in 5-10 minutes. There's a gnat flying around right now that I don't like. Oh, Michael, that was one of my favorite videos to do because I was so hyped when that happened because I was like, this is Frodo. That was like one of my favorites. I loved that moment so much. The quick duck one was a great one. That was a fun one to write. Mobile prancing pony? Should we call the live streams the mobile prancing pony? I kind of love that. That's actually great. Ooh, Gentles. Gonbury Gone is such a good side character. Someone commented on that video. They were like, oh, so this is yet another one of your favorite side characters? And I was like, can a guy have 20 favorite side characters? Every time a new side character pops up, you know there's going to be an essay. Why Gonbury Gone is my favorite side character. Why Hama is my favorite. Why Eomer, it's not necessarily a side character, but kind of is a side character, is my favorite. Man, I love that people, when they watch it, I know the Nat is just excited for the chapter. The Nat is, oh yeah. My brain is not working that well today. I love that people, when they rewatch a video, they go back and watch the backlog. If you do that now, you're going to have to watch a lot of backlog. I think it would be something like maybe 40 or 50 hours. Maybe. Probably something like that. Probably 40 to 50 hours of, maybe even more, of a backlog on all the essays that I've done, which is ridiculous. I have currently written more words than I am currently at in J.R.R. Tolkien's work. So I've written more about this book in my essays than there are words in this book so far, which is excessive. But, why not? No way! Your brother's getting wedded and you're a groomsman, but you're hanging out watching the Lord of the Rings stream. I love that so much. Just sneak the video up there. Just have a little headphone in while you're up front. Ooh, yeah, did the Fellowship fail Boromir? That essay was actually born out of someone asking that question on a YouTube comment. And I was like, that's such a fascinating question. So a lot of times I turn comments sometimes people make into essays because I'm like, I've never thought about that before and I want to talk about that. So I might actually do that with the last comment. Lord of the Rings is a longer book than the Silmarillion. That makes sense. I like that you're re-listening as a comfort listen. That's great. I know. I'm hopefully soon I'll be able to yap professionally. Silmarillion is only as long as the Fellowship. That's actually a little sad to me. I was hoping it was going to be longer. But the Silmarillion, all those extra chapters, like the Children of Húrin, like I'm excited to read those. But we'll get there when we get there. I still have to read The Hobbit first. I'm pretty pumped for The Hobbit. One person was commenting saying that it's like not going to be as good as I think because it's a children's story. Little do they know, I think children's stories are the best. And I am so pumped to read a children's story. 2 full years to get through the Silmarillion, or the full Silmarillion. I love that. I think it's going to take me probably that, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, I'm not really approaching it as like an actual novel. I think I'm just approaching it as like a history of it. So I'm still pretty pumped to actually read through that. It's going to be a good read. Ooh. Wow. Hot takes. The Hobbit is actually almost as good, if not better, than Lord of the Rings. Dang. That's a hot take. Ooh, Lemmy, I love it. A little 5K before the live stream. Pumping the blood. Okay, that's the question. I need a poll actually for this. Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit? Start a poll. I can't ask which is better. I'll ask what do you prefer? Why is cap locks always on my computer? The Hobbit. If I call it, maybe this is a dumb question. If I call it Lord of the Rings, it is the Lord of the Rings, I know. But if I call it Lord of the Rings, is that like a pet peeve of anybody's? Steak or cake? I love that. Ooh, Lord of the Rings is handily winning right now. The Two Towers is the best book ever written. I think it's great. I will say, oh, this is the same thing that I think with Harry Potter. Like I have 5 power rankings going on in my head at any given moment of all what I think about like my current read through of Lord of the Rings and where the books fall in like my ranking. I think best written, I'd rank them differently than my favorite. Then I'd rank differently than like my first time read through experience. That is totally different. I don't know which I would read as my favorite as reading for the first time at the moment is probably book 5. I don't think I've had as much fun reading for the first time a book because there's so many changes book to movie. And then I would probably say book 4. Book 4, I know some people think that book 4 is a little dull, but I love book 4. It was so fun. Then maybe book 1. I don't know. That's actually a hard one. I need to like think through that. Best written is a whole different game too. I don't know how I could. I'd have to really think about best written. I think book 1 is just exquisitely written, but at the same time, so is book 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm struggling on this one. Interesting that more people like the Hobbit, or more people like Lord of the Rings than the Hobbit. That's not like, that out of there, but I hope you guys follow the Hobbit journey too and the Silmarillion book, because I'm pumped for those. The Hobbit has better prose than Lord of the Rings. Whoa, I love that, because he wrote it for children. I think anytime you write something for children, your prose is actually going to be better. At least I think. Oh, Cosmic Butterfly. YouTube's so weird with notifications. I don't understand what it does for notifications, but sometimes they're just terrible with notifications. So, I don't know. So I'm glad that you're here. My final prediction on who Dernhelm is. 99% sure that it's Eowyn. With a 1% surety that it's just like a teenage kid who snuck off and going to battle. But I'm 99%. I'm like really 100% sure that it's on Eowyn, but I can't say that for sure because I don't know for sure yet. But 99% sure it's Eowyn. With like just a small little 1% sure chance that it's like Hama's son or something weird, I don't know. I don't think it's Fatty Bulger. Imagine it's Fatty coming back. That would actually be great. Hold on, check the Discord. Hold on. Oh man, that's really sad, Yost. That just happened to someone that I really love this week too. It's really sad, bud. I'm sorry. Death sucks. Death really sucks. But that's why I have things like this. Like, I mean, I've like talked about this in videos that I made, but like being able to share this memory with people that I love. Like, this is why I love books so much and just good movies and good music, because they just like remind me so much of people that I love, and they help me get through painful times and bad things in life. Like the work of Tolkien has made me I don't know the wording for this. Maybe just appreciate life more. Like, this might sound really bizarre, but I feel like The Lord of the Rings has made me more fully me. Does that make sense? That sounds so mystical and weird, but it just feels like I'm learning so much about myself through this book. I don't know. So, I'm sorry for what you're going through, but sending you love and support. Everyone in this little community is too. I like it. Just depends on your mood. Honestly, yeah, that makes sense. I'm pumped for when what, people get unsubscribed from the channel? That sucks. Yeah, I think that just happens time to time. Every once in a while, I like look at the analytics, and all of a sudden there's like a drop in subscribers, and I'm like, oh, that's probably when YouTube just unsubscribes some people from the channel for no reason. Because I've heard that happen before with some people. So I don't know. YouTube's weird. It's actually Theodred. That's great. I'm pretty pumped to actually read the entire work so that I can just kind of revisit this anytime I want. Like, I'm like, oh, I want to read this chapter of the Silmarillion today. I'm going to do that. But there's so much other stuff that we have to read. So this first time journey is going to be like another 5 years. And then I got to figure out a way to rename the channel rather than first time readers, maybe second time readers. That's not as catchy as first timers. Sense and Sensibility or Pride and Prejudice? That's the question. I read Pride and Prejudice a long time ago in 2 days because I just wanted to read it. So I need to revisit that. Maybe I'll make like a first timers classics channel. Yeah, my plan is to read the history of Middle Earth. My plan is to read everything that he's that's out there, that Christopher Tolkien or that he published. Durnhelm is Lobelia Sackville Baggins. Imagine, that would be so great. She just pops up and she goes, "Where are the silver spoons?" That's what she's been looking for this entire time. That's so good. Yeah, I like a slow little journey. Like, this is more fun. Yeah, I think I would do Beowulf. And I think I would do like certain channels are gonna have carryover. So I'm considering, you guys know that I've broken the channel up to some degree. And like I've done like a Harry Potter, I'm gonna start posting more on that channel. But I'm gonna do like a Game of Thrones one. But I think for some of the Lewis read, I might just keep it on this channel. Like if I read the Space Trilogy, I feel like there's enough. Maybe this is gonna be like a Inklings and Friends channel. That's actually not a bad name. Because I feel like a lot of people who like Tolkien would enjoy like a read through of the Space Trilogy or Narnia or like Beowulf. I feel like that'd be kind of fun. There seems like there's a lot of carryover between those fans. So I'd be down for that. Ooh, favorite Austen novel is Emma. All right, besides, I think I've asked this question before too. Last question before we actually do live read. So we'll start in 5 minutes. I said that 10 minutes ago, but we really will start in 5 minutes at 10:45 or 1:45. Besides Lord of the Rings, what's your guys' favorite book? I think I've asked that before, but I always just like this question because I'm curious what else you guys like. The 50 Shades series. I've actually thought about doing, I think I told you guys this before, but I thought about doing a podcast on like raunchy literature. It'd be kind of funny. Children of Time, Pride and Prejudice, Dark Elf series, interesting. The Silmarillion, nice. Wheel of Time. Yeah, I think I probably would do the Wheel of Time on the Sanderson channel. That's actually a great idea. Secret Garden. Ooh, Dune. Interesting. Maybe I do Dune on this channel just to like rile Tolkien up a little bit. Brave New World. Ender's Game, Illinois City. Conan the Barbarian. Interesting. Count of Monte Cristo. Classic. Ooh, Star Wars, Heir to the Empire. Star Wars does come out with some good stuff. There's some good storytellers over there. Robin Hood, Watership Down, Earthsea, The Silmarillion, Game of Thrones. Ooh, we got a Game of Thrones fan. I'm going to start another channel on Game of Thrones. First Timers, Song of Ice and Fire. Or should I call it like the game of the first time reader? Or the song of the first time reader. Maybe the song of the first time reader. I keep hearing the Assassin's Apprentice too. That's one that I have to pick up. Thaddeus, interesting you mentioned War and Peace. I read War and Peace, thought it was okay. Read Anna Karenina. Oh, Anna Karenina just did a number on me. Anna Karenina was one of my favorites. A Song of Time and Readers. That is actually a great. Readers of Ice and Fire. Ooh, Nemo. I love that idea. Nemo, you should do that on your own and just do analysis. That would be so interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of the Russians for literature. I like the French a bit more than I like the Russians, but I haven't read that many of the Russians. Tolstoy's been the biggest Russian that I've read. So when I read more Russians, then I will continue on. Honestly, Nemo, please do a Discworld read. I feel like that'd be so fun. Tolkien rants. Okay, if you liked Pride and Prejudice. So the reason that I read Pride and Prejudice is because I think Anna Karenina is the greatest love story ever. And there's one character in that I just fell in love with. Levin. Love that man. Oh, I love that man. And when I read that, I remember thinking, I need another book like this so bad. And I looked it up and everyone's like, read Pride and Prejudice. And I read Pride and Prejudice and I was like, that was not as good. That was not as good as Anna Karenina. But maybe that's a hot take. Maybe that's wrong. Levin and Kitty are just the best. They're so good. They're so good. Crime and Punishment. I've heard Brothers Karamazov is the best. You should. I'm telling you, you should. I think you'd like it. It's longer and it's like a bit more distracted, I think, than Pride and Prejudice. But I remember there was one chapter. I have to find my book. Actually, I just found it. It's up above my bed over there. But I remember there was one chapter of that book that I was like 20 something years old reading that book and swooning at this chapter because of how beautiful it was. And it was just a translation. And I was like, this is one of the best chapters that I've ever read in my life. One of the most romantic. Oh, it was so good. So good. Ooh, Crime and Punishment is the most accessible. Interesting. Yep, I'm going to start reading now. Sorry for the distraction, everyone. I just like talking about books every once in a while. I'm going to start a First Timers Classic channel, and then I'm just going to go through some classic literature for the first time, or the second time, because I haven't read a lot of it, or forgot a lot about it. So I'll do Pride and Prejudice, maybe Anna Karenina, just sit and analyze it, because I don't remember most of the chapters there. It'd be kind of fun to do that. All right. Let's get to reading. My channel and style needs a book with messages about humanity. Not just a good story, not just a good plot or story. Yeah, I feel like that's what Lord of the Rings is. It's more than just a good plot. Ooh, Dickens is hit or miss for me. You didn't know I liked books. Literally all I'm doing, I'm hoping I can do this for the rest of my life, is just making channels about books. Little Door is a great series. Little Door is a really great series. I think Claire Foy's in that one. Maybe not Claire Foy. I forgot who was in it, but she was an excellent Little Door. All right, let's read. We could talk about classical literature all day, but I want to read the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. So, welcome to the live read. My brother's sending me a video. Hold on. I'll watch that later. Is there a song in this chapter? Hold on, I gotta look for a song in this chapter. I can't really look ahead that much. Oh, there's a long song at the end of this chapter. I'm not gonna go that far into it. Do an episode on The Wanderer. What is The Wanderer? Real quick before we go into this. What is The Wanderer? A book? Or it's not a song, more of a lay. We'll take a poll whether I should sing it or not at the end. A song is a stretch. A poem. I'll read it very poetic-like. A poem that inspired Tolkien. Interesting. Okay. Old English. I'll sing it like they sing like Eowyn sings in the movie when they're bringing Theodred into his mound. I'll sing it like that. I'll wear a little shroud. It'll blow in the wind. And I'll sing it really depressed like. It sounds terrible sung. Interesting. Yeah, if it sounds terrible sung, then we're not going there. All right, let's begin our read through. This is the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. I'm pumped for this chapter. Also, everyone, you know what I'm gonna say? Like the video or like the stream, just so more people can watch. You know, it'd be fun if more people watch this stream or found the channel, so I could do this forever and just talk about books forever and just hang out with you guys and talk about books forever. That'd be a great life. That'd be awesome. All right. I should have gotten water. I think I'll be all right. But I might have to take a break halfway. That's not a long chapter, but I might have to take a break halfway to get some water. All right. We're going to do this. The Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Chapter 6. Which pencil is more sharpened? But it was no orc chieftain or brigand that led the assault upon Gondor. The darkness was breaking too soon. Before the date that his master had set for it, fortune had betrayed him for the moment, and the world had turned against him. Victory was slipping from his grasp even as he stretched out his hand to seize it, but his arm was long. He was still in command, wielding great powers. King, Ringwraith, Lord of the Nazgul. He had many weapons. He left the gate and vanished. We're going to really start this chapter off like this? Oh my goodness. Tolkien is just coming right out of the gates. Quick. No quick, interesting, no quick, perspective, or no gentle. Why are words just not coming to my head today? No gentle easing into this chapter. He's just pulling the rug out from under us. Quick start. Yeah, very different from the movies there. It's not, what's that guy's name? What's the guy's name in the movie that looks like a pig? Who in the boat goes, quiet. What's his name? Gothmog, thank you. It's not a gentle chapter, okay. Yikes. All right, here we go. Let's keep reading. So he just leaves the gate and vanishes. He's literally about to proclaim victory, and then he just leaves the gate and vanishes. Crazy. Theoden, king of the Mark, had reached the road from the gate to the river, and he turned toward the city. That was now less than a mile distant. He slackened his speed a little, seeking new foes, and his knights came about him, and Dernhelm was with them. Dernhelm, where are you? Who are you? Ahead near the walls, Elfhelm's men were among the siege engines, hewing, slaying, driving their foes into the fire pits. Well nigh all the northern half of the Pelennor was overrun. And there camps were blazing. Orcs were flying toward the river like herds before the hunters. And the Rohirrim went hither and thither at their will. But they had not yet overthrown the siege, nor won the gate. Many foes stood before it. And on the further half of the plain were other hosts still unfought. Southward, beyond the road, lay the main force of the Haradrim, and their horsemen were gathered about the standard of their chieftain. And he looked out, and in the growing light he saw the banner of the king, and that it was far ahead of the battle with few men about it. So is he looking... Hold on. The perspective shifts in this chapter are already throwing me off a little bit. Theoden is looking at this. So many foes stood before it. On the further half of the plain were other hosts still unfought. Southward beyond the road lay the main force of the Haradrim, and their horsemen were gathered about the standard of their chieftain. And he looked out. Is the he looked out there Theoden or the chieftain? If it... Ooh, I almost broke my pencil there. That would have sucked. If it's... If the stream is... Oh, so the Haradrim chieftain is looking out. Okay, thank you. Interesting. If the stream is pausing or not loading well for you, just hit shift refresh. Usually that clears any like bugs out. But it's nothing on my end. I haven't dropped a frame this whole stream, and everything is pretty healthy on my end. So if you're pausing, just refresh. Man. 91% of people preferred Lord of the Rings over The Hobbit. 142 votes, too. Crazy. All right, this is the chieftain's perspective. I probably should have literally read the next sentence because that's what always happens and it answers my question. But here we are, and I haven't learned. And he looked out, and in the growing light he saw the banner of the king, and that it was far ahead of the battle with few men about it. Then he was filled with a red wrath, and shouted aloud. And displaying his standard, black serpent upon scarlet, he came against the white horse and the green with great press of men. And the drawing of the scimitars of the Southrons was like a glittering of stars. Dang. These guys are kind of actually a little bit more intimidating in the movie, or in the book, I mean. I love the colors too here again. Tolkien is just like painting a picture. Yeah, that is kind of a cool banner. I actually want to see that. He was filled with a red wrath and shouted aloud, and displaying his standard, black serpent upon scarlet, he came against the white horse and the green with great press of men. And the drawing of the scimitars of the Southrons was like a glittering of stars. Well, that's actually kind of cool because light is returning to that part of the field. Interesting. They wouldn't glimmer unless there was light, correct? Unless it's stars. Maybe there's some other kind of light. So the Southrons have some kind of light on them. Interesting. Light is back, baby. I mean, that happened in the last chapter. The winds are changing. It's the morning. Yeah, lots of fires about too, but I guess the fires could kind of reflect, or the swords could kind of reflect the fire a little bit. I think it'd be a little bit more difficult. Maybe they could. And maybe it's the burning of the city too. Probably a little bit of both. Red glowing, glittering of stars, glittering of planets like Mars. I can't think of words today. Also, totally off topic here. I'm not going to go into this. I'm going to literally start reading in the next second again. What do you guys think of that weird thing that's flying in our solar system? Is that first contact with aliens? What is going on? Anyway, I'm going to keep reading. We'll hit that we'll talk about that more when we get to the space trilogy of C.S. Lewis. Then Theoden was aware of him and would not wait for his onset, but crying to Snowmane, oh, Snowmane, that is Snowmane to me right up there. I can't point. That guy, that's Snowmane. Might be Shadowfax, it might just be a horse of Rohan, but to me that's Snowmane. Sorry, I just distracted everyone with space objects. But crying to Snowmane, he charged headlong to greet him. Great was the clash of their meeting, but the white fury of the Northmen burned the hotter. And more skilled was their knighthood with long spears and bitter. Hold on. I guess because they're north of the Southrons, they're called Northmen, but Rohan doesn't seem like a northern part of Middle-earth to me. Are they normally called a Northman? I need to look at the map real quick, because I think Rohan is in the south. Come on, give me a good map. They originate further north. Interesting, okay. But the white fury of the Northmen burned the hotter, and more skilled was their knighthood with long spears and bitter. Okay, I just want to make sure I keep pausing because I just don't want to make sure I'm missing something. Bitter is just normal bitter, right? There's not like a weapon called a bitter. Because that's a weird sentence. And more skilled was their knighthood with long spears and bitter. Bitter is sharp. Okay, interesting. Oh, with long spears. Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. That makes a bit more sense then. With long spears and sharp. Deadly. Okay, good. I like that. Fewer were they, but they clove through the Southrons like a firebolt in a forest. Right through the press drove Theoden, Thengel's son, and his spear was shivered as he threw down their chieftain. Out swept his sword, and he spurned to the standard, hewed staff and bearer, and the black serpent foundered. Then all that was left unslain of their cavalry turned and fled far away. Hold on, so he just kills the chieftain and they're gone? Are the Oliphants going to come now? Sexy little 1v1 battle between Rohan and Harad. Interesting. You know, this makes Theoden so much cooler too. Man. Fewer were they, but they clove right through the Southrons like firebolt in a forest. Right through the press drove Theoden, Thengel's son, and his spear was shivered as he threw down their chieftain. Dang. Anybody else getting the shivers? Out swept his sword, and he spurred to the standard. Hewed staff and bearer, and the black serpent foundered. Then all that was left unslain of their cavalry turned and fled far away. You know what's interesting? I think about this often when I watch like movies like this, how important the standard or the flag bearer is, or the standard bearer is. Like there's always jokes about like who's, you know, this one guy, you know, who is just carrying the flag. That's just his job. But that was like the most important job. Carrying the flag, carrying the banner. Little Newsies reference for you there. The only, yeah, I just think it's interesting. Yeah, they're navigating by that. Actually, that's so interesting. Yeah, cool little mano y mano right there. I kind of love that. And yeah, again, the colors of this battle are so cool. Tolkien just keeps pushing into the colors more than I've seen another author push into colors before. Like other authors push into colors, like Brandon Sanderson pushes into colors out of because everything is black and white in his novels, and then he puts splashes of colors in that you notice, like white, or like red, or like everything is green because that's kind of the end of the novel. Spoiler, sorry. And I think of like a book like The Giver, which is black and white, and then everything goes into color. But this is just different. This is red and black versus green and white. Nature versus industry almost. It's like really cool color battles. Men would die to defend the colors of their regiment. Love that. Well, not, yeah, you know what I mean. I love the pride of that. And that's something that you get in this book. People really like Faramir, how much he loves Minas Tirith. Same thing as Boromir. Boromir's love of Minas Tirith, maybe not like, you know, totally pure, but it feels very pure and feels very like he would die for that city gladly. There's just like an element of pride in your city and the people of that city that I kind of love. All right. But lo, suddenly in the midst of the glory of the king, his golden shield was dimmed. The new morning was blotted from the sky. Dark fell about him. Horses reared and screamed. Men cast from the saddle lay groveling on the ground. To me, cried Théoden. Up, Erlengas! Fear no darkness. But Snowmane, wild with terror, stood up on high, fighting with the air. And then with a great scream he crashed upon his side. A black dart had pierced him. The king fell beneath him. What a bunch of cowards! What are they on their little winged creatures shooting crossbolts at beautiful white horses? Freaking cowards. I don't like that. The king fell beneath him. I hope he's not dead right here. I need someone to have a moment with Théoden before he dies. I don't want him to just die like this. The great shadow descended like a falling cloud. And behold, it was a winged creature. If bird, then greater than all other birds, and it was naked, and neither quill nor feather did it bear. Its vast pinions were as webs of hide between horned fingers, and it stank. You gotta throw that detail in there. A creature of an older world, maybe it was, whose kind, lingering in forgotten mountains cold beneath the moon, outstayed their day. And in hideous eerie breed, this last untimely brood, apt to evil. And the dark Lord took it and nursed it with fell meats. until it grew beyond measure of all other things that fly. And he gave it to his servant to be his steed. Down, down it came, and then folding its fingered webs, it gave a croaking cry, and settled on the body of Snowmane, digging in its claws, stooping its long naked neck. We're only 3-4 paragraphs in, and this is already so sad. Yeah, this is a pterodactyl. Pterosaurus vulture. Also, bat-like. I feel like he's riding on a giant bat. Like they live in caves in the ground. It's bizarre. Snowmane. An ode to Snowmane. I need to write an ode to Snowmane. I love that horse. Upon it sat a shape, black-mantled, huge and threatening. A crown of steel he bore, but between rim and robe naught was there to see, save only a deadly gleam of eyes. The Lord of the Nazgul. To the air he had returned, summoning his steed ere the darkness failed. And now he was come again, bringing ruin, turning hope to despair, and victory to death. A great black mace he wielded. This is interesting. What is your guys' take on this? Oh, Tolkien actually did write an ode to No way, no way. I need that. I need that ASAP. Which king is Batman? That's hilarious. Okay, did you guys perceive the darkness returning as the literal darkness, like the clouds are just moving and shifting? Or is the darkness this pterodactyl covering the sun and shielding the sun from Theoden? Didn't it see it? It's the shadow of the beast. I feel like it was kind of both, because I think he's yelling "Fear no darkness," so everything seems to be dark again. But at the same point, if it was only him, then only Theoden would be covered in darkness. So I feel like it's a little bit of both. Like, I feel like he is the thing that brings about the darkness. Yeah, local darkness from the Witch King's aura. That's actually one of the best ways to put it, I think. I feel like it's both. In my head, that's kind of what I feel like. It's a little bit of both. But Theoden was not utterly forsaken. The knights of his house lay slain about him. Or else, mastered by the madness of their steeds, were borne far away. And, wait, sorry, one quick question too. Did Snowmane go crazy because of the darkness, or because he had a bolt pierced him? I think it's because of the dart. I think it's because of the bolt. Because, not to like say Snowmane is like a Shadowfax, but I feel like Snowmane wouldn't. I feel like he would stand up against the Witch King, and maybe the Witch King. Sorry, I'm getting really distracted. I mean, yeah. I think the Witch King maybe learned about white horses from a few minutes ago when Shadowfax stood up to him, And he's like, I cannot take that risk again. I need to shoot this horse. And so he comes down with a little bolt and goes, ching, and shoots our Shadowfax. That makes me hate the Witch King even more. Yeah, he's rearing and then he gets shot. But it says this, the black dart had pierced him. The Snowmane, wild with terror, stood up on high, fighting with the air. And then with a great scream, he crashed upon his side. So a little bit of both. Yeah, it said he had fell. Or it said that he did, yeah. Yeah, I guess the Witch King wasn't the one that shot him. Some cowardly orc out there or some cowardly Haradrim probably shot him. If I can get my hands on that person. Ooh. The knights of his house lay slain about him, or else mastered by the madness of their steeds were borne far away. Yet one stood there still. Dernhelm. Eowyn. The young, faithful beyond fear. And he wept, for he had loved his lord as a father. Right through the charge, Mary had been borne unharmed behind him, until the shadow came. And then Windfola had thrown them in his terror, and now ran wild upon the plain. Mary crawled on all fours like a dazed beast, and such a horror was on him that he was blind and sick. Interesting. Huh. Shell shock? Yeah, interesting. Have any of you been so scared that you've gotten sick? I don't think I have. Which is lucky for me. Kingsman, his heart cried within him. You must stay by him. As a father you shall be to me, you said. But his will made no answer, and his body shook. He dared not open his eyes or look up. Then, out of the blackness, in his mind, he thought that he heard Dernhelm speaking. Yet now the voice seemed strange, recalling some other voice that he had known. I wonder why. This is going to be a great reveal. Begone, foul Dwemer Lake. Dwemer Lake? Dwemer Lake. Dwemer means dead, then. Dead wraith? Flicker shadow? Dwemer Lake wraith? Dwemerberg, the house of the dead? Dwemer Lake is the Rohirrim word for wraith. So then what does Dwemerberg mean? The house of the wraiths? The etymology of some of these words is interesting to me. Dwemer means sorcery, not death. City of the dead. Dwemer means magic. Interesting. Berg is mountain. So the magic mountain. And then the magic dead. What would lake mean? Laik. Lake is related to lick in German, meaning corpse. Interesting. Magic corpse. That's creepy. Whoa. Wow. That's kind of cool. Sorry. Little word pause there. Begone, fell Dwemer Lake, Lord of Carrion. Leave the dead in peace. A cold voice answered. Come not between the Nazgul and his prey. or he will not slay thee in thy turn. He will bear thee away to the house of lamentation, beyond all darkness, where thy flesh shall be devoured, and thy shriveled mind be left naked to thy lidless eye. If nothing else, the Witch King is kind of eloquent. Does the Witch King know how to code switch? Because I feel like he didn't talk like this before in the previous chapter. Hold on one second. Actually, I'm not going to look there. Huh. A sword rang as it was drawn. Do what you will, but I will hinder it, if I may. Man, how fun would it be to read this for the first time, not having any perception that Dernhelm is Eowyn. Hinder me, thou fool. No living man may hinder me. Then Mary heard of all sounds in that hour the strangest. It seemed that Dernhelm laughed, and the clear voice was like the ring of steel. But no living man am I. You look upon a woman. Eowyn I am. Eowyn's daughter. You stand between me and my lord and kin. Be gone, if you be not deathless, for living or dark undead. I will smite you if you touch him. Ah! Chills. Okay, the chills. Michael, you're a freaking... you're trolling with Dernhelm. Wow, what a great entrance of a character. How good is this? And she doesn't just say, you will not touch him. This is such good language. Dang. She goes, but no living man am I. You look upon a woman. Eowyn I am. Eowyn's daughter. You stand between me and my lord and kin. Begone, if you be not deathless. For living or dark undead, I will smite you if you touch him. Gosh, that's so good. Oh my goodness. This reveal is so good. Why wouldn't they do this in the movies? Oh, come on. I need to just take a pause here. I do love the movies. But how much more fun would it be if they hid the fact that Dernhelm is Eowyn and Eowyn is Dernhelm? Maybe it would be harder to do in the movies. But how cool would it be if that entire time Mary's riding with the company. He's not necessarily riding specifically with Eowyn, who's Dernhelm. And then all of a sudden during this battle, Mary's on the floor crawling over, and then all of a sudden he overhears this conversation, and all of a sudden Eowyn pulls off her helmet, and it's freaking Dernhelm. Shoot, or it's freaking Eowyn. Oh, that would have been so cool. Theaters everywhere would have stood up screaming if that was the case. Man. The winged creature screamed at her, but the ringwraith made no answer. and was silent as if in sudden doubt. Whoa! 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 Dude, that's so crazy. When Eowyn silenced the ringwraith. That is actually crazy. That's so cool. Very amazement for a moment conquered Merry's fear. He opened his eyes, and the blackness was lifted from them. Oh, I love that too. This makes this writing so much more interesting because it's just auditory. Oh, man. There, some paces from him, sat the great beast, and all seemed dark about it. And above it loomed the Nazgul lord like a shadow of despair. A little to the left, facing them, she whom he had called Dernhelm. Man. But the helm of her secrecy had fallen from her, and her bright hair, released from its bonds, gleamed with pale gold upon her shoulders. Her eyes, gray as the sea, were hard and fell, and yet tears were on her cheek. A sword was in her hand, and she raised her shield against the horror of the enemy's eyes. Oh. The prophecy in Appendix A says, "Far off yet is his doom, and not by the hand of man will he fall." The Witch King doubted because he saw a twist. He see twisted as a boast. So cool. He's realizing, oh crap. This is gonna be scary. Holy smokes. This is written so well. And I will say too, I do really love this in the movie. The movie does this well. I mean, like, let's compare like apples and oranges here. Because we're talking about, I still think it's one of the best movies of all time. Adaptation maybe might be questionable. One of the best movies of all time. That is one of the greatest scenes in that movie. It's just like so victorious and so good. As opposed to like another scene like in Marvel when they did like She's Not Alone and all the women of Marvel just banded together and fought. Like that's one of those where you like roll your eyes at. This is like so much better. So much better. I mean, again, I prefer books. I prefer this book over the movie now, which is crazy to say. But it's still great in the movie. But so good here. Oh my gosh. There's so much emotion going on. And I love that we get this auditory note, and then all of a sudden Mary is able to open his eyes, and then he sees all this whole scene playing out. And then it's like the light of her hair seems really important too. Like you have this blonde, like it seems like I don't know what it is about this, but I think every time the entire time I've been reading these last two chapters, everything has felt like a Renaissance painting to me. Or like an impressionistic painting, but like impressionists didn't do battle, they did like nature. Like give me an impressionistic painting of a battle scene, and this is what it feels like. Like I could see this so vividly in my head. Like the AI in my head is working better than AI would just on like in my computer. Like how good of an image this is. Like everything is kind of dark around her. There's like a little bit of a gleam of light, and then all of a sudden her hair is like the thing that is the light in this scene. Man. So good. so good. Such a good scene. It's like painted so well. Like, I've seen other scenes in my head, obviously, because that's what you do when you read, but like, this is so much more vivid to me than anything else that I've really experienced. And I think these two chapters, especially because Tolkien is just using so much color in these two chapters, everything just seems like a Caravaggio painting. You know what I mean? Like, so dramatic. Man. Eowyn it was. And Durnhelm also. For into Merry's mind flashed the memories of the face that he saw at the riding from Dunharrow. The face of one that goes seeking death, having no hope. Pity filled his heart, and great wonder. And suddenly the slow-kindled courage of his race awoke. The slow-kindled courage of his race. Oh, great description. He clenched his hand. She should not die. So fair, so desperate. At least she should not die alone, unaided. Man. The face of their enemy was not turned toward him, but still he hardly dared to move, dreading lest the deadly eye should fall on him. Slowly he began to crawl aside, for the black captain, in doubt and malice intent upon the woman before him, heeded him no more than a worm in the mud. That's the last thing that you should do with a hobbit. You should never think that a hobbit isn't worth his weight, because hobbits are worth their weight in, freaking more than gold. Never underestimate a hobbit when death is on the line. That's the new line. Whoa, Frodo is greater than Merry is greater than Pippin is greater than Sam. Sam's the worst. Dang. It's a hot take. I don't know if I agree with that. I kind of love all of them equally. Don't underestimate a hobbit. Come on, Witch King. Suddenly the great beast beat its hideous wings, and the wind of them was foul. Again it leaped into the air, and then swiftly fell down upon Eowyn, shrieking, striking with beak and claw. Still she did not blench. I've never heard that word before. Blench? Hobbits are worth their weight in second breakfasts. No, this is blench. B-L-E-N-C-H. Blench is finch. Interesting. Okay. Soften and wilt a bit. Okay. Does it have similarity to blanch? Kind of. That's the worst way to cook something to me. Blanching it. Ugh. She didn't flinch. 2 for flinching. Maiden of the Rohirrim, child of kings, slender but as a steel blade, fair yet terrible. Dang, she's cool. A swift stroke she dealt, skilled and deadly. The outstretched neck she clove asunder, and the hewed head fell like stone. Backward she sprang as the huge shape crashed to ruin. Vast wings outspread, crumpled on the earth, and with its fall the shadow passed away. A light fell about her, and her hair shone in the sunrise. Man, she's got an aura going on right now. This is so great. This is so good. She got a nat 20. Absolutely. Out of the wreck rose the Black Rider, tall and threatening, towering above her. With a cry of hatred that stung the very ears like venom, he let fall his mace. Her shield was shivered in many pieces, and her arm was broken. She stumbled to her knees. He bent over her like a cloud, and his eyes glittered. He raised his malice to kill. But suddenly, he too stumbled forward with a cry of bitter pain, and his stroke went wide, driving into the ground. Mary's sword had stabbed him from behind, shearing through the black mantle and passing up beneath the hauberk. Passing up beneath the hauberk had pierced the sinew behind his mighty knee. Ouch. Eowyn, Eowyn, cried Mary. Then tottering, struggling up, with her last strength, she drove her sword between crown and mantle as the great shoulders bowed before her. The sword broke, sparkling into many shards. The crown rolled away with a clang. Eowyn fell forward upon her fallen foe. But lo, the mantle and the hauberk were empty. Shapeless they lay now on the ground, torn and tumbled, and a cry went up into the shuddering air, and faded to a shrill wailing, passing with the wind. A voice, bodiless and thin, that died, and was swallowed up, and was never heard again in that age of this world. Oh my gosh! This is crazy! What good writing! Huh. Man. So, talk to me for a quick second. We're on a little bit of a break here in the read. Is this going to be in the appendices? I've heard note about the sword that Mary stabs the Witch King with. Is that why it's able to pierce the armor? Oh, that'll be later. Okay. Next chapter. All right. We'll get there. So no spoilers. It's probably in the next few chapters. The sword is discussed in this chapter? Okay. All right. Just later on in this chapter? All right, we'll get there. All right, we still got a few pages left. Not quite halfway, which is great. I want to keep reading. All right, we'll keep reading. All right, everyone like the stream too. One sec. Man. What a moment. This is such good pacing. Like, I have to say, something that I get really bored about when I read is like a long back and forth between characters. I'm not the biggest action movie fan of, like, if I see a fight scene, I don't want it to last that long. Like, a perfect example is like Aragorn and Lurtz fighting. Like, there's a half back and forth, but it's a quick battle. That's what I want. I don't want that much back and forth. Like, maybe give me a little bit. It depends on, like, maybe sometimes the actual fight, because I love a little bit of a duel of the fates moment there. That's like huge. That's like incredible. But I love just something quick Like, this is a quick move. And Tolkien does not linger on like long action scenes that well. Or not that well, not that much. Like, this is just, it's so quick, but it's so well written. Like, he doesn't need that many words to just talk about how incredible this is. And you just feel the weight of it because his words are fewer. He's not like trying to ramp up the drama of the battle by going back and forth and talking about, oh, and Eowyn dodged this blow, just barely brushed by her, her eyebrow. And I'm like, give me something quick. Well, the Princess Bride duel is actually great. It just depends on how you do it. I think people can do it well, but I don't want to just like, raw power up against raw power. The Princess Bride duel is so great because it's just like fun. There's like breaks between it. It's not really like a duel. You haven't seen The Princess Bride? Come on. That's so classic. Although I really do like 10 pages of Quidditch. I gotta be honest. Quidditch is different. Quidditch is a sport to me. That's more fun. I like that. I'm just a particular reader with certain things. But like, I just like a quick move here. Like, it's very similar to the movie too. Very similar. Like the little pterodactyl lunges. She cuts off the neck. This thing, the Witch King rises, tries to throw his mace at her, lands on the ground. Or it destroys the shield. He's about to kill her, gets stabbed in the back of the knee. And then Eowyn stands up and then stabs him in the head. Between crown and mantle. And excuse me. I gotta say, I actually don't mind the... Wait. Anakin versus Obi-Wan is awful? That was like the greatest... battle ever. The Dread Pirate Roberts and Inigo Montoya. Great battle for sure. It's partially why my dog is named Wesley. Partially. I forgot what I was saying. But I just like how quick this is. One little move after that, another. One counter move. Little stab in the back of the knee, stab through the head. Oh, I was gonna say, I actually kind of like the helmet in the movie. The helmet of the Witch King is still kind of cool. I mean, it doesn't quite beat a helmet and a crown of flame, but it's still kind of cool. All right, let's keep reading. And there stood Meriadoc the Hobbit in the midst of the slain, blinking like an owl in the daylight, for tears blinded him. And through a mist he looked on Eowyn's fair head, as she lay and did not move. And he looked on the face of the king, fallen in the midst of his glory, for Snowmane in his agony had rolled away from him again. Yet he was the bane of his master. That's sad. Then Merry stooped and lifted his hand to kiss it. And lo, Théoden opened his eyes, and they were clear, and he spoke in a quiet voice, though labored. Farewell, Master Holbeita, he said. My body is broken. I go to my fathers. And even in their mighty company I shall not now be ashamed. I felled the black serpent. A grim morn and a glad day, and a golden sunset. Mary could not speak, but wept anew. Forgive me, Lord, he said at last, if I broke your command, and yet have done no more in your service than to weep at our parting. The old king smiled. Grieve not, it is forgiven. great heart will not be denied. Live now in blessedness. And when you sit in peace with your pipe, think of me. For never now shall I sit with you in Meduseld as I promised, or listen to your herb lore. He closed his eyes, and Mary bowed beside him. Presently he spoke again. Where is Eomer? For my eyes darken, and I would see him ere I go. He must be king after me. And I would send word to Eowyn. She would not have me leave her. And now I shall not see her again. Dearer than daughter. Mm. That's sad. Although, there's something funny in this too. I think it's weird that he's taking credit for defeating the Black Serpent. Oh no, he defeats the Black Serpent and the Chieftain. Not the... Okay. I felled the Black Serpent. He had his final moment. That is actually so much more beautiful. I thought he was talking about the beast of the Nazgul. And even in their mighty company, I shall not now be ashamed. I fell the Black Serpent. He did one more thing in his death. And now he can rest in peace. I'm a little nervous that he is not going to be able to say goodbye to Eowyn. It would weirdly be fitting in the book because Eowyn is broken. But we'll see. We'll see. Lord, began Mary brokenly. She is... But at that moment, there was a great clamor. And all about them, horns and trumpets were blowing. Mary looked round. He had forgotten the war, and all the world beside. And many hours it seemed since the king rode to his fall, though in truth it was only a little while. But now he saw that they were in danger of being caught in the very midst of the great battle that would soon be joined. New forces of the enemy were hastening up the road from the river. And from under the walls came legions of Morgul. So, hold on. Under the wall, which wall are we talking about? We're not talking about Ramos Echor. We're talking about the wall of Minas Tirith. The siege under the wall of the city. Okay. Okay. So they're coming out from that. So they haven't yet like retaken the city really. Okay. And from the southward fields came footmen of Harad with horsemen before them, and behind them rose the huge backs of the Mumakil, with war towers upon them. But northward the white crest of Eomer led the great front of the Rohirrim, which he had again gathered and marshaled. And out of the city came all the strength of the men that was in it. And the silver swan of Dol Amroth was borne in the van, driving the enemy from the gate. We have a different van. Remember the van of Aragorn, Legolas? Who was it? Aragorn, Legolas, and Eomer? Now we have a different van of the Knights of Dol Amroth. This is cool. The silver swans. Man. For a moment, the thought fitted through Mary's mind. Excuse me. Where is Gandalf? Is he not here? Could he have not saved the king and Eowyn? But thereupon Eomer rode in haste, and with him came the knights of the household that still lived, and had now mastered their horses. They looked in wonder at the carcass of the fell beast that lay there, and their steeds would not go near. But Eomer leaped from the saddle, and grief and dismay fell upon him as he came to the king's side and stood there in silence. Then one of the knights took the king's banner from the hand of Guthlaf, the banner bearer who lay dead, and he lifted it up. Slowly Théoden opened his eyes. Seeing the banner, he made a sign that it should be given to Eomer. Hail, King of the Mark, he said. Ride now to victory. Bid Eowyn farewell. And so he died, and knew not that Eowyn was lay near him. And those who stood by wept, crying, Théoden King, Théoden King. Oh, that hurts so bad. Oh, come on. That sucks. He died not knowing Eowyn is literally laying right next to him. Ah, yeah, it's war. It's so realistic, but it's so sad. But Eomer said to them, mourn not overmuch. Mighty was the fallen. Meet was his ending. When his mound is raised, women then shall weep. War now calls us. Yet he himself wept as he spoke. Let his knights remain here, he said, and bear his body in honor from the field, lest the battle ride over it. Yea, all these other of the king's men that lie here. And he looked at the slain, recalling their names. Then suddenly he beheld his sister Eowyn as she lay, and he knew her. He stood a moment as a man who is pierced in the midst of a cry by an arrow through his heart. And then his face went deathly white, and a cold fury rose in him, so that all speech failed him for a while. A fey mood took him. "Eowyn, Eowyn," he cried at last. "Eowyn, how come you here? What madness or devilry is this? Death! 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 Death take us all." Then, without taking counsel or waiting for the approach of the men of the city, he spurred headlong back to the front of the great host and blew a horn and cried aloud for the onset. Over the field rang his clear voice calling, "Death! Ride! Ride to ruin and the world's ending." And with that, the host began to move. But the Rohirrim sang no more. "Death," they cried, with one loud voice. And terrible. In gathering speed like a great tide, their battle swept about their fallen kings and passed, roaring away southwards. So Éomer gives that speech. Yeah, the death chant is so different from book to movie. Ah. Yeah, the speeches are so different. I was hoping that was going to be in the book, and this is just a totally different mood shift. He's yelling death. That's such a well-written section. A cold fury rose in him. Yeah, what is this? I want to pause for a quick second and help me figure out, like, what is this? Is this vengeance? The idea of being Fae here is like one who is, I know it's my favorite word, Fae. A Fae mood took him. So he's walking into death and despair, and he has a blind rage about him. Feels more like nihilism too. Interesting. This is like berserk mode a little bit. Dude, yeah, imagine you lose your father figure and then all of a sudden you look to the left of your father figure and there's your sister who shouldn't have even been in battle. Oh. What's the guy's name that played Éomer again? Was one of the best actors in the whole series. He was incredible. I forgot his name though. I'll know when someone says it. I think he played this Carl Urban so good. Oh my gosh. What a stud. What an absolute stud. Steven Tyler. Liv Tyler. What's this? What's Liv Tyler's dad's name again? That was a great scene when he mourns at the end of the battle. Crazy that he sees his sister dead in the middle of the battle. And then it just sends him into a blind rage. Steven Tyler. Yeah, honestly, Aomer is portrayed pretty well in the movies. Carl Urban did a great job with that role. I wish they gave him lines. Like, he did a great job despite not really having the lines of Aomer. Like, how great would this have been coming from Aomer? It was still great in the movies. Like, that is one scene in the movies that I consistently get a little teary-eyed over. The death chant. It still has a ton of meaning, but it's a different sort of meaning. And I actually don't mind it so much in the movies. In the movies, it's like I could still see Théoden giving that chant. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so let's talk about this for a bit. That's a good adaptation. Would I have liked Aomer to have said this? Yes, I would have. I think that would have made an equally as emotionally charged moment. But at the same time, I think for a good adaptation, something that you think through is like, would Théoden have given this speech too? And I think the answer is yes. Because Théoden was in a Fae mood. It talks about how there's a Fae on him as well. So he still would have given this speech. Like in the previous chapter when he's riding in the end of this chapter. But Théoden could not be overtaken. Fae he seemed. You know what I mean? That's one moment I still tear up in the movies every single time I watch it. Like, this has been a tough week because I've literally had to rewatch that scene like 5 times for videos that I've been making. And every single time I just rewatch the whole scene and then just tear up for it because it's just such a good scene. So I agree with what you're saying that Théoden's not sad or desperate about death. So his death chant is different from an Aomer's death chant. Aomer is chanting death partially to himself, partially to his enemies. It's like a combination. He's like, I'm going to take out as many as I can as I can. So, okay. Here's an analogy that I have. This probably is going to fall flat on multiple levels. Star Wars. Love Star Wars. Rogue One of the best Star Wars movies ever made. This is the difference between a Chirrut Inway and a Baze Malbus. Chirrut is walking out knowing that he's going to die, accepts it gladly on the benefit of other people because he knows what he's doing is for the greater benefit of people. So he's walking out. Those aren't words. And then all of a sudden, you have Baze who sees his best friend Chirrut die, and he goes out with a different kind of death chant, taking as many as he can with him. I agree. Rogue One is actually the best Star Wars movie ever made. I will die on that hill. I will die on that hill. I think that's the best analogy that I could come up with for this. Like, it's a different kind of death chant. So while the death chant is, not like this reckless abandon that Théoden feels, it still fits under what Théoden is marching to. You know what I mean? Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back is good. But I kind of love Rogue One. So good. Rogue One is just so good. All right, let's keep reading. Man, that was good writing. Holy smokes. Now I'm just trying to imagine how Carl Urban would have delivered that line. Man, that'd be an interesting one to see. And still Meriadoc the Hobbit stood there blinking through his tears, and no one spoke to him. Indeed, none seemed to heed him. He brushed away the tears and stooped to pick up the green shield that Eowyn had given him, and he slung it at his back. Then he looked for his sword that he had let fall, for even as he struck his blow, his arm was numbed, and now he could only use his left hand. And behold, there lay his weapon. But the blade was smoking like a dry branch that has been thrust in a fire. And as he watched it, it writhed and writhed and was consumed. So passed the sword of the Barrow Downs, work of Westerness. But glad would he have been to know its fate, who wrought it slowly long ago in the North Kingdom, when the Dunedain were young. And chief among their foes was the dread realm of Angmar, and its sorcerer king. Dang. No other blade, not though mightier hands had wielded it, would have dealt that foe a wound so bitter, cleaving the undead flesh, breaking the spell that knit his unseen sinews to his will. Dang, that's cool. That's really cool. Why? What did they put in that sword? And it's so interesting that Tom gives him this sword. Tom is like a little angel. This is at RAFL. Yeah, the enchantment on the walking sticks, honestly. The little blessing that was put on it. Sheer hatred for the Witch King. Honestly, that feels like it's it. So it's interesting, too, because they talk about the Angmar being a place of a sorcerer. But is the North Kingdom also kind of like good sorcery? Like magic? Positive? I guess, what's the positive of sorcery? Magic? Witchcraft? Wizardry? Hogwarts? Yeah, that's what I felt like. It felt like the inverse of the Witch King's Morgul knife. Does the Morgul blade disintegrate? I forgot if the Morgul blade disintegrates in the book. It does. Interesting. I got to reread that. Allied with elves. Huh. Man. Interesting. Okay. Let's keep reading. Crazy. Okay, this is wild. I'm only halfway through this chapter. It's not even that long of a chapter, but I'm only halfway through. I'm going slow today. I like a slow read, though. As we all know. I want to learn more about the sword, though. So, real quick, do I get more information about the sword in the actual... Like, this is like in the appendices in this chapter, in the next chapter? I'll just read. I'll just shut up and read. Good, I'm glad you like a slow read. Hold on, so the Northern Kingdom refers to Arnor. Arnor versus Angmar, is that like the battle that's happening? Yeah, I'm a very slow reader. Arnor versus Angmar? hundreds of years ago. The sword finished it. Okay, I'll learn more about in the appendices. All right. Arnor is where the Dunedain are from. Is that on the map at all? Like, is there anything about Arnor? There it is, the Lost Realm of Arnor. That's where the Shire is. That's where everything is. Wow. The North Downs. The Blue Mountains. I could look at a map all day, so Arnor is Canada, Condor is US. Actually, that's a great analogy. That helps me out a ton. The Shire was once part of Arnor? Interesting. Now the Dunedain are just Roman. Oh, the Blue Mountains is where I started in Lord of the Rings Online? That's interesting. Okay. All right, let's keep reading. Men now raised the king, and laying cloaks upon spear truncheons, they made shift to bear him away toward the city. And others lifted Eowyn gently up and bore her after him. But the men of the king's household they could not yet bring from the field, for 7 of the king's knights had fallen there. And Daerwine, their chief, was among them. Rest in peace, Daerwine. So they laid them apart from their foes and the fell beasts and set spears about them. And afterward, when all was over, men returned and made a fire there and burned the carcass of the beast. But for Snowmane they dug a grave and set a stone upon. And afterward, when all was over, men returned and made a fire there and burned the carcasses of the beast. But for Snowmane they dug a grave and set up a stone upon which was carved in the tongues of Gondor and the mark, faithful servant, yet master's bane. Lightfoot's foal, swift Snowmane. No. So, okay. Théoden died from Snowmane falling and rolling on him? Oh. That's so sad. Yeah, I know horses are happy, but that's so sad. If there's one beast that would want to kill me, it'd be my dog. I'm sure Théoden thinks the same. Faithful servant, yet master's bane. Lightfoot's foal, swift Snowmane. Who's Lightful? Do we ever meet Lightful? Or Lightfoot? Green and long the grass grew on Snowmane's howe, but ever black and bare was the ground where the beast was burned. Man, the earth remembers. Yeah, Snowmane's pops. Or pops or mom? Snowmane, son of Lightfoot. Ah, Snowmane. Not versed in hazardous waste removal. Some years down the line, there's going to be some gardener who tries to replant grass there and it's not going to work. And he's going to be going crazy because he doesn't know the lore that they killed this black beast there. Now slowly and sadly, Merry walked beside the bearers. And he gave no more heed to the battle. He was weary and full of pain, and his limbs trembled as with a chill. A great rain came out of the sea, and it seemed that all things wept for Theoden and Eowyn, quenching the fires in the city with grey tears. It was through a mist that presently he saw the van of the men in Gondor approaching. Imrahil, Prince of Dol Amroth, rode up and drew rein before them. "What burden do you bear, men of Rohan?" he cried. "Theoden King," they answered. "He is dead. But Eomer King now rides in the battle. He was with the white crest in the wind." Then the prince went from his horse and knelt by the bier in honor of the king and his great onset, and he wept. And rising, he looked then upon Eowyn and was amazed. "Surely here is a woman," he said. "Have even the women of Rohirrim come to war in our need?" "Nay, only one," they answered. "The Lady Eowyn is she, sire of Eomer, and we knew not of her riding until this hour, and greatly we rue it." Then the prince, seeing her beauty, though her face was pale and cold, touched her hand as he bent to look more closely on her. "Men of Rohan," he cried, "are there no leeches among you? She is hurt, to the death maybe, but I deem that she yet lives." And he held the bright burnished vambrace that was upon his arm before her cold lips. And behold, a little mist was laid on it, hardly to be seen. "Haste is now needed," he said, and he sent one riding back swiftly to the city to bring aid. But he, bowing low to the fallen, bade them farewell, and mounting, rode away into the battle. What a guy! Oh my gosh. Oh, Shattermelon, thank you. Wait, importantly, there's no proper name for the Witch King's mount. It's not named a fell beast. That's just a description. A wolf is also a fell beast. A shark is a fell beast. A pet peeve of yours. That's a good pet peeve, to be honest. Yeah, video games are primarily to be blamed for that. Okay, yeah, I was actually interested in I was going to ask that question. Is leech, was he talking about, does anybody have any bugs on them? Are they going to draw blood with a leech? I'm sure he's talking about a doctor here, but yeah, leechcraft is medicine for sure. I learned that when he says your leechcraft would have had me crawling on all fours. Anybody have any leeches? Are there no leeches among you? No one took their leeches with them into battle? What were you thinking? I think I'm gonna write a funny essay on that. We're gonna bring some leeches in. When leeches take center stage in the work of Tolkien. I need to workshop this title. I should write this essay and I should be so dead serious. I should make the whole entire essay so satire that by the end of the video, you're convinced that you actually think that I think leeches are the little bugs rather than a doctor. I'm not even going to talk about being a doctor. The leeches could have saved Theoden's bones. It is interesting how they are kind of all speaking in old English here. And the Witch King in particular, it was interesting that he spoke in Old English. Like, I'm curious what... We don't really get him speaking in other sections. I want to know what he speaks like and if this is like outside of the norm. And Blues and Patches. Imrahil, not a ton in this right here, but makes an impression. Like, there is something to be said about someone who is in the midst of something crazy and has the wherewithal to be able to like not be in the same panic as everyone else. I think that is very, very few. I don't think there's very many people that can do that well in different situations. Like, everyone has their like area of expertise, but I love this so much because he's such an expert. He's going in the midst of this battle. All these other men are going crazy and they're fighting and they're only thinking about battle and they're all stressed and they're all nervous. But he's the only person that's like, hold on, let's think through this logically for a second. Takes what does he take? His Vembrace, puts it right on her breath, and he's like, she's still breathing. Are any leeches among you? Like, he's actually thinking logically in a time like this, which is so difficult to do because there's hysteria going around everywhere. Honestly, yeah. Be the person that can be leaned upon during the funeral, yeah. It feels like that kind of energy. Like, he's the kind of that's like is strong. She's not dead yet. It's such a good little section right there. Like, in just a small amount of words, paragraphs, sentences, Tolkien shows that this guy really is he's a dope guy. He's like in control of a situation, which is very, very difficult to be in this moment. Like, I don't think I would be. I would hope I could be. I could be, maybe. Bring out your dead. Yeah, it's interesting that he actually goes and he weeps too. Have they ever met? Imrahil has likely met Theoden. He does seem to be like a great leader. 100%. He really is. Like, he's going to be... Oh, if he dies, I'm going to be pissed. He seems like he'd be a good ally for Aragorn when Aragorn ascends the throne. Like, this would be someone great to have on your council. Holy smokes. Like, if we're talking Game of Thrones terms here, he'd be a great hand of the king. What's the guy's name in The Princess Bride that brings people back to life? Have fun storming the castle. That's what Imrahil is doing right now. All right, let's keep reading. Got like a page and a half. Oh, no, like 3 pages left. 2 pages. 2-ish, 2.5. Miracle Max. The best. And now the fighters waxed furious on the fields of the Pelennor, and the din of arms rose upon high, with the crying of men and the neighing of horses. Horns were blown and trumpets were braying, and the Mumakil were bellowing as they were goaded to war. Under the south walls of the city, the footmen of Gondor now drove against the legions of Morgul that were still gathered there in strength. But the horsemen rode eastward to the succor of Éomer. Hurin the Tall, Warden of the Keys, and the Lord of Lossarnac, and Hirluin of the Green Hills, and Prince Imrahil the Fair, with his knights all about him. Húrin. Probably not the same as the children of Húrin, but maybe named after him? I don't really know anything about isn't that like the first one of the first few chapters of Silmarillion? It's like first age stuff, second age stuff. Named after. That's cool. Húrin's kind of a cool name. Honestly, what I'm thinking, like, there's some cool names in this. Like, I would name a kid like Aemond. Actually, I don't know, because Game of Thrones has some Aemonds in it, and they're crap. Hey, Wes. My dog just jumped on my bed. He has a big tennis ball in his mouth. Faramir is a terrible name. But Faramir is your boy. It's true. Names are reused. Now I'm trying to think of like cool names that I would name a child in that come from Lord of the Rings. Hama. Hama wouldn't be a great name. Hama's not a great name, but I love him. What's a name from Lord of the Rings that you would name your child? Has anybody named one of their childs after something in Lord of the Rings? That's the real question. Denethor, no chance. Imagine naming your kid Denethor Goldberry. That'd be. Imrahil is honestly a great one. Imra. Sauron. Tom. That's a Tom, Rosie, Bill. Yeah. There are people named Arwen. That is true. Never name your kids after fantasy characters. Why not? I kind of like the ideas in Lord of the Rings of like naming your son something a little different from you. Like I can name like a son that I have, like Jayon, son of John, like something weird, and you just keep going down from there. Or Jada, son of Johan. Charlemagne vibes from Imrahil. Kind of. Ron, son of John. Ron John. Sauron's original name? That's actually wild. All right, let's keep reading. Not too soon came their aid to the Rohirrim, for fortune had turned against Éomer, and his fury had betrayed him. The great wrath of his onset had utterly overthrown the front of his enemies, and great wedges of his riders had passed clear through the ranks of the Southrons, discomfiting their horsemen and riding their footmen to ruin. But wherever the Mumakil came, there the horses would not go, but blenched and swerved away. And the great monsters were unfought, and stood like towers of defense. And the Haradrim rallied about them, and if the Rohirrim at their onset were thrice outnumbered by the Haradrim alone, soon their case became worse. For new strength came now streaming to the field out of Osgiliath. There they had been mustered for the sack of the city and the rape of Gondor, waiting on the call of their captain. He was now destroyed. But Gothmog, the lieutenant of Morgul, had flung them into the fray. Easterlings with axes, and Variags of Khand, Southrons in scarlet, and out of far Harad, black men like half-trolls with white eyes and red tongues. Some now hastened up behind the Rohirrim. Others held westward to hold off the forces of Gondor and prevent their joining with Rohan. It was even as the day thus begun to turn against Gondor, and their hope wavered, that a new cry went up in the city. It being then mid-morning. Is Aragorn back? And a great wind blowing, and the rain flying north and the sun shining. In that clear air, watchmen of the walls saw afar a new sight of fear. And their last hope left them. The ships. For Anduin, from the bend of the Harland, so flowed that from the city men could look down it lengthwise for some leagues, and the far-sighted could see any ships that approached. And looking thither, they cried in dismay, for black against the glittering streams they beheld a fleet borne up on the wind, dromons, and ships of great draught, with many oars, and with black sails bellying in the breeze. The corsairs of Umbar, men shouted. The corsairs of Umbar. Look, the corsairs of Umbar are coming. So Belfalas is taken, and the Ether and the Lebanon is gone. The corsairs are upon us. It is the last stroke of doom. I think not. And some without order, for none could be found to command them in the city, ran to the bells and tolled the alarm. And some blew the trumpets, sounding the retreat. Back to the walls, they cried. Back to the walls. Come back to the city before all are overwhelmed. But the wind that sped the ships blew all their clamor away. That's kind of cool. The wind is like telling them to shut up. The Rohirrim indeed had no need of news or alarm. All too well they could see for themselves the black sails. For Eomer was now scarcely a mile from the Harland, and a great press of his first foes was between him and the haven there, while new foes came swirling behind, cutting him off from the prince. Now he looked to the river, and hope died in his heart. And the wind that he had blessed, he now called accursed. But the hosts of Mordor were enheartened, and filled with new lust and fury, they came yelling to the onset. Stern now was Eomer's mood, and his mind clear again. He let blow the horns to rally all men to his banner that could come thither. For he thought to make a great shield wall at the last, and stand and fight there on foot till all fell, and do deeds of songs on the Pelennor fields, or on the field of Pelennor, though no man should be left in the west to remember the last king of the Mark. So he rode to a green hillock, and there set his banner, and the white horse ran, rippling in the wind. Out of doubt, out of dark to the day's rising, I came singing in the sun, sword unsheathing. To hope's end I rode, and to heart's breaking, now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red nightfall. Out of doubt, out of dark to the day's rising, I came singing in the sun, sword unsheathing. To hope's end I rode, and to heart's breaking, now for wrath, now for ruin, and a red nightfall. Man! Okay, I'll keep reading. This is so good. I just need to like take breathers because this is just so good. These staves he spoke, yet he laughed as he said them. For once more lust of battle was on him, and he was still unscathed, and he was young, and he was king, the lord of a fell people. And lo, even as he laughed at despair, he looked out again upon the black ships, and he lifted up his sword to defy them. Oh my gosh, Aomer. No. Then wonder took him, and a great joy, and he cast his sword up in the sunlight, and sang as he caught it. And all eyes followed his gaze, and behold, upon the foremost ship a great standard broke, and the wind displayed it as she turned toward the Harland. There flowered a white tree, and that was for Gondor. But 7 stars were about it, and a high crown above it, the sign of Elendil, that no lord had borne for years beyond count. This was made by Arwen. So Arwen's Betsy Ross. That's so good. So she combines the sign of Elendil and the... Ouch, sorry. Whoa, that's so crazy. That's so cool. And hold on. And the stars flamed in the sunlight. Wait, 7 stars were about it, and a high crown above it, the sign of Elendil that no lord had borne for years beyond count. And the stars flamed in the sunlight, for they were wrought of gems by Arwen, daughter of Elrond. And the crown was bright in the morning, for it was wrought of mithril and gold. What? That's so cool. So Gondor's flag is changed now. Sorry, my camera went blurry for a second. That's your favorite moment in the whole book? That's legitimately one of the best. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like this sail is flapping in the wind, and then all of a sudden the standard just appears, and they realize these aren't the black ships of Umbar. The king. The return of the king. That's so good. Oh my gosh, that's such good writing. That is so good. Thus came Aragorn, son of Arathorn, Elisar, Isildur's heir, out of the paths of the dead, borne upon to win from the sea to the kingdom of Gondor. And the mirth of the Rohirrim was a torrent of laughter and a flashing of swords. And the joy and wonder of the city was a music of trumpets and a ringing of bells. But the host of Mordor were seized with bewilderment, and a great wizardry it seemed to them that their own ship should be filled with their foes. And a black dread fell on them, knowing that the tides of fate had turned against them, and their doom was at hand. How good of a sentence is that one? I'm like cheesing too much of this. This is so good. I could just see this so vividly in my head. This is so good. Oh, what a good what a good paragraph. What a good collection of paragraphs. You know it's good when I'm like taking not even taking notes because it's so good. I like forget. Thus came Aragorn, son of Arathorn. Let's go. That's so good. Hammer's Last Stand. I love this. What good writing. This guy Tolkien knows how to write. Man. East rode the knights of Dol Amroth, driving the enemy before them. Trollmen and Variags. Variags? What are Variags? Variags. Does my camera keep flashing, focusing on the flag? It should focus on the flag. Variags of Khand, the tribe of people from the east. Okay, interesting. Variags. And orcs that hated sunlight. South strode Eomer, and men fled before his face, and they were caught between the hammer and the anvil. For now men leapt from the ships to the quays of the Harland, and swept north like a storm. There came Legolas, and Gimli wielding his axe, and Halbarad with the standard, and Eladon and Elrohir with stars on their brow, and the dour-handed Dunedain, rangers of the north, leading a great valor of the folk of Lebanon and Lamedon, and the fiefs of the south. But before all went Aragorn with the flame of the west, Anduril like a new fire kindled, Narsil reforged as deadly as of old, and upon his brow was the star of Elendil. Dude, let's go! And so at length Eomer and Aragorn met. They finally met! I was hoping for this moment. In the midst of the battle, and leaned on their swords and looked on one another and were glad. Thus we meet again, though all the hosts of Mordor lay between us, said Aragorn. Did I not say so at the Hornburg? So you spoke, said Eomer. But hope oft deceives. I knew not then that you were a man foresighted. Yet twice blessed is help unlooked for. And never was a meeting of friends more joyful. And they clasped hand in hand. Nor indeed more timely, said Eomer. You come none too soon, my friend. Much loss and sorrow has befallen us. Let us avenge it, ere we speak of it, said Aragorn. And they rode back to battle together. Just two buddies going off to battle. Oh, come on. How good is this? This might be some of the best, feel good. Man, that's good. Yeah, yeah, it's like that meme of the hand clasping the two guys. So yeah, Arnold and Stallone clasping the hands. That is so great. Oh man, it's so good. Two strong men. Man, the world of men is in good hands. You have Éomer who's leading the men of Rohan, and you have Aragorn leading the men of Gondor. Newly signated, newly crowned and starred Gondor. Crowns or stars. You got the crown right there. Boop. Man. Honestly, he does such a good job of making you feel so like despairing right here, and then all of a sudden he brings it back. Hard fighting and long labor they still had, for the Southrons were bold men and grim and fierce in despair, and the Easterlings were strong and war-hardened, and asked for no quarter. And so in this place and that, by burn, homestead, or barn, upon hillock or mound, under wall or on field, they gathered and rallied and fought until the day wore away. Then the sun went at last behind Mindalluin, and filled all the sky with a great burning, so that the hills and the mountains were dyed as with blood. Fire glowed in the river, and the grass of the Pelennor lay red in the nightfall. And in that hour the great battle of the field of Gondor was over, and not one living foe was left within the circuit of the Ramas. All were slain, save those who fled to die, or to drown in the red foam of the river. Few ever came eastward to Morgul or Mordor, and to the land of the Haradrim came only a tale from far off, a rumor of the wrath and terror of Gondor. Dang. The wrath and terror of Gondor. That is so good. They're not coming back. They fade all day long. Did I notice something was missing not in the movies? The flag? I mean, not that they're not a green army. The green army that just doesn't come and save the day. Subscribe for Face the Wrath and Terror of Gondor. That's gonna be the next week's little end quote thing I'm gonna put. Wait. Hold on. He brings. Hold on. I need to figure this out. Leading a great valor of the folk of Lebanon and Lamadon? I assume that was the Dead Army. Did they just pick him up on the way? Where's the Dead Army? What? That's the Lebanon is, and what was it? The Lebanon and the Lossarnak, or the Lebanon and Lamadon? The Lamadon is the Lamadon isn't the Lamadon where the dead men were by the stone of Erech? Lebanon. Huh. So this is a read and find out moment. Don't help me. It's just interesting because when I read that paragraph, I assumed that those were the army of the dead. But where are they? They're not here. Did they just go help pick up other men and then just ditched? Interesting. Okay. Huh. All right, so we'll find out soon, I guess. I got to write an essay about that one because that one's weird. So they just come with a bunch of other men. This is a man victory. So interesting. Battle of Pelennor is won by the blood and sweat of men, not magical green wave. Exactly. Same thing as Helm's Deep. Elves didn't come save them. Men are not weak, like Elrond says in the movies. You little turd. Well, we are, but we're not at the same time. We got some great strength. That's so interesting. That is so interesting that it's just a battle won by men. Which makes sense because an army of the dead can't really control the ships, I guess. So how would they be able to drive those ships? But an army of men can. That was always a pet peeve of mine in the movies. Interesting. That's a really interesting section. All right, let's finish. We have one page left. Aragorn and Eomer and Imrahil rode back toward the gate of the city. And they were now weary beyond joy or sorrow. These three were unscathed, for such was their fortune, and the skill and might of their arms, and few indeed had dared to abide them, or look on their faces in the hour of their wrath. But many others were hurt or maimed or dead upon the field. The axes hewed forlong, as he fought alone and unhorsed. And both the Dwelling of Morthond and his brother were trampled to death when they assailed the Mumakil. Who's Dwelling of Morthond? And Forlong. Forlong was the big guy. Dwelling was the bowman. Oh, so these guys actually died, the little fife kings? Forlong the Fat. Yeah, it's the end of it's all the reinforcements coming. And his brother were trampled to death when they assailed the Mumakil. That's sad. Leading their bowmen close to the chute at the eyes of the monster. Neither Heirluin the Fair would return to Penith Gelen, nor Grimbold to the Grimslade, nor Halbarad. Ah! Nor Halbarad to the Northlands, dour-handed ranger. Rest in peace, Halbarad. Yeah, we hardly knew you. But we would have liked to know you more. That's sad. No few had fallen, Renown or nameless, captain or soldier, for it was a great battle, and full count of it no tale has told. So long afterward, a maker in Rohan said in his song of the mounds of Moonburg, we heard the horns in the hills ringing, the sword shining in the south kingdom. Steeds went striding to the stoning land, as wind in the morning. Oh, instruction on how to read the poem on Discord. Thank you, because I need that. Hold on. Okay. Old English meter, resembling the way Anglo-Saxons and Nordic sagas were written. Here's how it works. Every line can be split into two halves. One stress word in the second half of the line always alliterates with one or two stress words in the first half of the same line. So, from dark Dunharrow in the dim morning. So this is, we heard of the horns in the hills ringing, the sword shining in the south kingdom. Oh, so it's like just alliteration. Oh, this is beautiful. I love this. This is so helpful. Thank you so much. This actually helps so much. Latrian, thank you. She who thought not. Welcome to the Hot Tamales. Thanks for being a member. Read it like the Bee Gees. What are the Bee Gees? Like, they're the Staying Alive people. We heard the horns in the hills ringing. What's the Bee Gees lead guy's name again? What's his name? Crap, what's his name? He's on the SNL thing. Lindsey Buckingham? Yeah, I'm not gonna sing this one. I can't sing a song of Rohan. maybe I'll BG number 1. Barry Gibbs, that's what it is. Barry Gibbs. Who's Lindsey Buckingham? Maybe I'll make a video just where I sing this. I wish I had musical talent. We heard of the horns in the hills ringing, the sword shining in the south kingdom. Steeds went striding to the stoning land. As wind in the morning, war was kindled. There Theoden fell, Thengling the mighty, to his golden halls and green pastures. And the northern field, never returning, high lord of the host, Harding and Guthlaf, Dunhere and Daerwine, Doughty Grimold, Herefara and Herubrand, Horn and Fastred, fought and felled there in the far country. And the mounds of Moonburg under mold they lie, with their league fellows, lords of Gondor. Neither Hirluin the fair to the hills by the sea, nor Forlong the old to the flowering vales. Ever to Arnok, to his country, returned in triumph, nor the tall bowmen, Darufin and Dwelin, to their dark waters. Meres of Morthon under mountain shadows, death in the morning, and at day's ending. Lords took and lowly, long now they sleep, under grass in Gondor by the great river, gray now as tears gleaming silver. Red then it rolled, roaring water. Foam dyed with blood, famed at sunset, as beacon mountains burning at evening. Red fell the dew in Rama Sechor. At the end of the poem, also Aragorn died. Sheesh, this is so good. Like, maybe I have to write an essay on this. Why death in Tolkien's work seems so realistic. I mean, the obvious answer is because he's seen it. Like, a lot of authors have not seen death, and you can kind of tell. When a character dies, it's like it just a character dies. But there is such honor to people who have died in this book. Like, no one who is on the side, no one who we like who has died in this book yet has not received honor because of it. And this is such a human response, too. Like, we honor the dead. If there's one thing I think all humans kind of like recognize, it's like a universal thing that we honor the dead. And Tolkien just has such a good grasp of that. People are sung in songs of like what their great deeds were. Because he like lost people, and he actually understood what that felt like and what the loss was like. I've heard elephants honor the dead too. Man. Oh, interesting. He says in an interview, Lord of the Rings is about death. Someone send me that interview. I would actually love to check that out. There's a lot of death in the Silmarillion. No! Oh, what a good chapter. Oh my gosh. Man. What a back and forth of emotions in that chapter too. So much happened in that chapter. Oh my gosh. That was an age in that chapter. Man. Man, it's so good. Silmarillion goes through 20,000 years? Oh my gosh. There's got to be a lot of death, I guess, in that one. Wow, that was just an excellent chapter. That was so good. I have so many thoughts about this chapter. I have 10 essays. I probably need to synthesize all these essays, but 10 of them. An Ode to Snowmane, the I Am No Man scene, Theoden's death, the Death Chant, the Sword of Mary, the Leeches, the Standard, the Banner, Eomer's Last Stand, which those two could probably be rolled into one. No Green Army, death and Tolkien's work and how realistic it seems. And this book really does seem like it's about death. Yeah. Everyone give me a second. Someone's calling me. I gotta take a call real quick. Actually, I'm gonna stay on for like 5 minutes and then I'm gonna jump off because I gotta take this call. I'm gonna text back real quick. I'm excited to learn more about the idea of death and some of this too. Because I know, like, mortality is a gift given from one of the gods or something. Mm. Don't worry, I didn't see that spoiler. By the god. The god. Oh, that was so good. Sorry, I had to quickly text one. Top tier chapter. Top tier chapter. I have to admit, for some of these chapters, I like chapters that are like, this was a very focused chapter. This might sound weird, but this chapter moves from so many different things in this. Like, one of the reasons why I like the Conspiracy Unmasked chapter so much is because, I don't know, a lot still happened in the Conspiracy Unmasked chapter, but they kind of just all met together, had a good bath, had a good conversation, and at the end they're like, we're coming with you. Just felt like one movement. In this chapter, it was like 5 different things, 5 major different things happen in this chapter. And Tolkien is writing about them so well. Not like quickly, but he's like getting from point to point. And I actually kind of love writing like that, especially action writing. Like, I don't want a long action sequence when I'm reading it. Usually I skip over those if I have to, because I'm like, I don't care how many like punches this person landed. Just get me to the next bit of, like, you know, whatever it is. The bath song versus the death song. I could write an essay on that. mm. I think that's why Conspiracy Mass hit so hard with me, because it was the first time I was really experiencing the books, and that was not necessarily the first real change, because there were changes before that, but that was the first moment that I realized, oh, they didn't just happen across Merry and Pippin and Sam, for all that matter. Like, these guys are choosing to come with them, and they are so loyal, and they're so brave, and Frodo's moments in that, so good. Yeah, Théoden versus the Black Serpent, the Witch King, Éomer's Last Stand, Aragorn returning, honoring the dead. So much is like packed into this one little section. And it's a short chapter too. I'm shocked that it's such a short chapter. Because even the first chapter, the Minas Tirith chapter, a lot happens in that chapter, but it's still a longer chapter. I'm shocked that like he kept it that short. And almost some of it, Helm's Deep wasn't even that long of a chapter either. Some of it makes me think like Tolkien didn't want to glorify battle that much. Like, yes, these men take glory in battle, but there's death involved in battle, which, like, at the end of this chapter, you're happy that they're winning, but the end of this chapter centers around death and the people that you lost. Like, it's not about the glory of this, because there's not really real glory in these battles. Like, yes, there is when people like sing these songs in thousands of years. And they're thinking of that, like Éomer is thinking that like he's going to be put into songs and tales. But at the end of that battle, you're not really thinking about that anymore. You're thinking about the people that you lost. I think that was the same with the Battle of Helm's Deep. This is like how Tolkien ends a battle scene. He ends it with death and honor, not glory. Like, yes, there is glory involved in it, but it's much more like like we're happy that we won, but look who we lost along the way. Eowyn killing the Witch King was a protest by Tolkien of Shakespeare's shoddy use of Macduff and not being born of a woman, or born of woman because he was born by C-section. No way. That's actually crazy. I love that. I love Tolkien give a little criticism of Shakespeare there. The March of the Ents is also a take on Macbeth. That's actually so cool. That's so funny. I love that stuff. Fun little details there. Man, what a good chapter. What a good chapter, guys. Best quote from The Hobbit. It was a terrible battle. Interesting. Man. Yes, Blues and Patches. Marginalia is going to come probably not. Maybe tomorrow night. Potentially tomorrow night. I'm going to try to do one tomorrow night if I can. Um, but it won't be. I can't do it on Monday. But if not, I'll do it on Tuesday. Maybe I'm probably going to do 2 this week, actually. So if you're a member, you can join members chats where we just sit back and we like have a full discussion on the chapter. They're like some of my favorites. So if you want to become a member, you can kind of just enjoy that. Those are just for members. I mean, these what is it? We're like 3 hours into this. This is kind of a full discussion of the chapter, but Marginalia is more like after I think through the chapter. I give like just general thoughts on it and we just kind of chat about it on like a live stream. They're some of my favorites because it just helps me process through things to like not finality, but like the end. Do I still think Shakespeare is ranked above Tolkien? That's a great question. Personally, no. In English literature, yes. I would say it's closer than I thought a few months ago. But I would probably say what Shakespeare did for the English language was maybe a little bit more significant than what Tolkien did for the English language. But that's because Shakespeare invented half these terms and we carry them with us hundreds of years later. Tolkien was just a century ago. So it's totally different. Yeah, honestly, if you give Tolkien another 200 years, I think they're going to be on the same exact level in literature. I think Tolkien, I would probably say like those are it's interesting. Within the English language, like English writers, I think that the upper echelons would probably be like Tolkien and Shakespeare. I don't know who else, I don't know any others who would really be in the upper echelons of the English language of writing. Potentially, like, people would probably put Dickens there. I don't know if he'd be in the upper echelons. Like, I don't know if there's anybody else that I would put there. I would say they're the 2 upper echelons. Yeah, Chaucer. I would say Chaucer is probably on the upper echelons too. I think Dickens and Austen would be A tier, not S tier. Agreed. King James is actually a great one. King James for sure. Yeah, Tyndale. I would say Tyndale. Tyndale was good but different. I would say Shakespeare, Tolkien, even something like this might be controversial, but like a Bunyan, I think is Chaucer, Bunyan, Tolkien, and Shakespeare. Probably upper echelons. Ranking those, and like that's not like just like they're just seminal works in the English language. Like everyone knows those people. Not that you like them or don't like them. Like I would much prefer to read a Dickens than I would like Chaucer. Maybe that's controversial. And then we have a lot of poets too. Like Steinbeck is good, but he's like there still needs to be time. Like Steinbeck in like 200 years is going to be probably in that company, potentially. Yeah, apparently there's rumors that Shakespeare actually translated the King James. Twain he had a good use of the English language. He'll get up there soon. Orwell, same. There's a lot of poets that we have. John Milton should probably be in there. John Milton is probably in the conversation. Like, the English language has better poets, I think, than potentially novelists. But like, I would say Shakespeare within like literature conversation is the highest, and then Tolkien is probably right next to them. In my opinion, I think Tolkien is better than Shakespeare. But I still think Shakespeare is, one of the goats. But there's things that I read of Shakespeare that I'm like, this isn't good. I haven't encountered that with Tolkien, but I'm only on like the fifth book of Tolkien. So yeah. So we'll see. We'll see when we get there. But oh man, there's so much to write about. So much good stuff. Yeah, Wordsworth, Byron, so many good poets in the English language, to be honest. Man. Lear, yeah, another great one. Coleridge. Yeah, Steinbeck's been mentioned. Good. I'm glad you're excited for the essays. I gotta think through these things now. So most of them are just gonna be reactions. Like, wow, this is crazy that this happened. I can't believe that. But some of them are gonna be like, I'll probably write one on leeches. Probably write one on Tolkien and his idea of death. Those will come later in the week, though. But I think that's all I got today, guys. I gotta give someone a call back. I gotta go for a walk with Wes real quick. But yeah, that's all I got, guys. Thanks for joining. You guys are the best. I always love these. These live reads are like some of my favorites. I love it. You never thought spend your Saturday evening watching someone read Lord of the Rings. I'm glad you made it. I hope it was fun and enjoyable for you. It is so fun for me. I love this, and I love more people joining because it just makes it more fun. Yeah, everyone go back to your hobbit hole. Everyone have a good rest of your weekend. And some more essays coming out as the week goes on. But I will see you guys. See you guys in the next one. Tomorrow there's an essay about Tolkien's writing of The Ride of the Rohirrim. So good, so good. And then essays on this chapter coming later this week with some marginalia spattered in between. So if you guys want to become members, you can join for those. But my Discord link and YouTube is dead. Hold on. Let me real quick before I go. I'm going to disable this, and then if anybody wants to join the Discord, here is the link. Let me invite, copy, Control V, enter. Oh, no, I didn't enter. There we go. If anyone wants to join the Discord, there it is. We talk about Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. Talk about Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Brandon Sanderson, Game of Thrones. I'm going to read that soon. Talk about lots of stuff. So join, jump to the present, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Everyone, as always, Namarie.